Guys, let me take you through today that you have to stop selling and rather start storytelling, the psychology of high ticket sales. So, the major thing is that why people hate being sold to, and that's the most crucial part. And we all know around us people, they are not very much comfortable when we talk about sales itself. It's like a taboo in the industry. So let me ask you something: that when was the last time you genuinely enjoyed being sold to, not tolerated it, not politely listened, but actually enjoyed it? And chances are you didn't, and yet you love buying. So you enjoy upgrading your lifestyle, you enjoy investing in yourself, and you also enjoy saying yes to something that feels aligned. What's the problem? The problem is very simple, that people don't hate buying, they hate feeling sold to. And today's consumer is sharper, more aware, and emotionally intelligent, that they can sense the desperation. They can detect those scripts, what salespeople do, and they can instantly disconnect from anything that feels transactional. And we are living in a time where attention is expensive and trust is even more expensive, which means if you're selling still sounds like a pitching, convincing, or chasing, you're already losing the game. So saying that you need a right pitch or right way of convincing skills, it really doesn't matter now, because modern sales is no longer about information. It's completely about interpretation, because information is available all across, and it's about how your audience feel when you hear you. People don't buy what you sell. They actually buy the story they see themselves in. So let's that sink in, because if your message doesn't create a reflection, it will never create a decision. So the shift from seller to a storyteller, that's the part two. And now here's where most people get it wrong. They really think the sales is about talking more, explaining better, listening features, showing proofs. But high ticket sales, premium positioning, influence at the highest level, it works very differently. It is really not about convincing someone to buy. You can't push someone. It's about helping them recognize themselves in what you're offering. And that's a real shift from seller to a storyteller, because storytelling is not an entertainment. It is emotional architecture. It's how you design perception. Thinking about luxury brands, they don't scream discounts, don't chase attention, they don't overload you with logic. They tell stories, they tell history. Rolex is not a watch, it's a time captured as a legacy. Luxury home is not square footage, it's identity, it's an arrival. A high-end coaching program is not a session, it's a life transformation, clarity, and elevation. So great storyteller doesn't push a product, he pulls you into a possibility. And that's exactly what you need to learn, because once your audience feel the possibility, the decision becomes effortless. So let me take you to the part three, the framework, the three-step story selling formula. And now let's bring structure to this, because storytelling without the real structure actually becomes a noise. And whenever you are selling anything, a service, a product, or an idea, or even yourself, use these three steps of storytelling framework. The step one is the struggle. Make them feel seen. So every powerful story begins with a problem, but not just any problem, a recognizable, emotional, and specific problem. And you are not describing pain, you are actually articulating their reality better than they can. So, for example, most high performers I meet are doing everything right. So they are already in that panel of doing super work, and yet they feel scattered, overwhelmed, and constantly distracted. And notice what happening here. You're not selling anything yet. You're like creating resonance. The moment someone says, that's exactly me, you've earned their attention, and clarity begins the moment someone feels understood. Similarly, let's talk about step two, the shift. Introduce a new perspective. So now that they feel seen, you introduce a shift. And this is where you challenge their current belief system. For example, I realize that success is not about doing more, it's about eliminating what doesn't matter. And this is powerful because it creates curiosity, authority, and reframing. Then you're not giving them answers yet. You're opening a new door. And a human mind is wired to walk through open doors, open loops. Step three of this framework is the solution, present as a natural outcome. So now, and only now, you introduce your offering. So when there's a mistake most people make, that they pitch it. So you need not to pitch. You have to position it on the basis of step one and step two. For example, like that's exactly why I created this system, to help you cut through noise and operate with clarity. So do you see the difference? That it really doesn't feel like a sale. It feels like a logical continuation of a story or a conversation that I'm doing with my audience. or building that inner circle. So don't present your product as an option, present it as a natural conclusion. And when it's done right, your audience feel convinced, they feel aligned. So let's talk about part 4 of the conversation, is that live demonstration, turning a pitch into a story. Stories are more relatable. So now let's make this real, because understanding is one thing while execution is everything. So take a typical sales statement, so which is big no is that normal selling. This is a premium coaching program with one-to-one mentorship frameworks and tools to help you scale. It's clear, it's logical, and it's completely forgettable because every other person is doing. So now let's turn this into a storytelling and story selling version. I'll tell you. So how I do is that last year I worked with a client who was incredibly driven. On paper, everything looked perfect. Great revenue, strong network, constant activity, growth. But internally, he felt stuck. And not because he lacked knowledge, but because he lacked clarity. We didn't add more strategies, we removed distractions. We didn't push harder, we focused deeper. And within 90 days, 3 months, not only he did his business grow, his decision making become sharper, faster, and effortless. And that's when I realized something powerful, that people don't need more information, they need direction. And that is to direction of cutting the noise. And that's exactly what this program is designed to do. Pause for a moment and feel the difference between both the stories, a conventional one of a selling and a storytelling. The one version speaks to the mind and the other speaks to the identity of his own. One gives data, the other creates the desire, and information makes people think. Story make people move. And the part 5 is this conversation, the closing, your new selling identity. And if you have stayed with me till here, something inside you has already shifted, because you're beginning to see the sales differently. Because you're beginning to see the sales differently, not as a pressure, but as perception, not as a persuasion, but as positioning. So here's the truth: most people don't realize that you're already telling stories through your content, through your conversation, through your presence. So the only question is, are those stories creating connection or confusion? Because in today's world, the best storyteller are not just content creators. Actually, they are the category creators and don't compete on price. They really don't compete on price. They dominate through perception. They completely diverge the thought process. They don't chase clients. They attract alignment. It's called as a pull marketing than a push marketing. That is why selling is not about being louder. It's more about being clearer. From today, stop asking, how do I sell this? Start asking, what story makes this inevitable? Because when your story is strong, your selling becomes silent, and silent selling is the most powerful selling, especially in the case of high ticket sales. And if this really changed the way you think about selling, then you are already operating at a different level. And if you want to go deeper into psychology, performance, and premium positioning, follow me on Instagram, on YouTube with the name of DrMarwahlous, and where we don't just talk about growth, we actually design it. We make the right choices, habits, and the lifestyle, because clarity is the new luxury and storytelling is how you sell. To keep following, sharing, and stay marvelous.